Hey folks, and welcome to the Pipnotic Symposium for the 6th of November 2019. I just want to show an update to the software that's coming pretty soon. So the software is doing a lot of interesting things now. It was doing a lot previously, but I think that this update is going to do some pretty cool things. So if we have a look at what is going on, I mean the software is identifying parent and children. And so when you see clusters like this, or better yet like this, you can see very clearly that the lower edge of the area we have these dotted boxes. Okay, so this is telling us that we have children that have been tested. Then we have the solid boxes above here. What does that mean? Well, that means that we have the parent-child relationship in here, and you want to be focusing towards the upper edge of this price structure here. Okay, this is super powerful because it enables us to position ourselves at areas, price points, price windows where price did not muck around. And if you look at this one here, which I think is gorgeous, this was a very nice departure. We had this distribution of liquidity, accumulating short orders, and then price left, and we had a couple of tests and it held, and now we're currently wriggling lower. And so when you have one of these boxes by itself, like here, we have high probability, and here when we have many boxes kind of cascaded next to one another, well, this is telling us that we have lower probability towards the low end of it, and so focus to the high end of that. And you can see this happening here as well, where we have quite a few 4-hour areas nested within one another, and so you want to be focusing a little bit higher when you see something like this. Okay, so if we go and have a look here at the euro US dollar on the daily chart, you can see that we have a couple of areas standalone that are located all by themselves. We have this one here, which is fresh and untested. Notice the black space since this box was formed. So this is a price we can expect a reaction at. And then we also have this one down here. Okay, so price rallied, we accumulated, we moved higher, we moved sideways, and then we left. And we had a really nice departure from here. When price left here, we managed to remove this little price nodule here, where we had price leave, we had many tests, we had another test here, and then price finally cut through it. Okay, so this is an interesting area of demand for that reason. Then we have this one up here. So notice on the 4-hour chart, if we zoom out, oops, we had a lot of trading here, and so on the 4-hour chart, these boxes they start here, and on the daily chart, this is located within this daily level. And so last time price was here, we had a test almost, and then price left. So when you have these areas that are nested within one another, well, that of course is confirmation that the area is interesting. And also notice here that we did have a parent-child relationship. So the parent here and the child just here. Okay, so this is something that should be we should be aware of. Okay, and so this, I mean, the software is drawing many more areas here, but in the default settings that I have here while I'm testing it, I have the risk reward to 2 and the price imbalance release period is set to 6. Okay, so if you want to tighten this up, you can simply increase this or reduce this, but you have to be careful because if you go too crazy, then you won't be seeing any levels. So if we just do this small change, we're going to see a big change in the way these areas are looking. Okay, you'll probably see quite a few of these areas disappear. So just keep that in mind. Okay, but I think the default settings are very interesting, and I'll find a nice set of default settings via pools. I have actually pools, a little history about pools. Pools was never an algo trader by itself. Pools was a tool that I used to help me identify the most advantageous combination of parameters, and so I used to run it on all the different parameters of the supply and demand software, and I would set the default settings to the ones that produce the lowest risk and the highest reward. Okay, and so this is actually what pools is, and so pools has existed within Pipnotic for almost 6 years now, so it's a pretty old piece of software. Cool. Okay, so this is one of the updates that we have here. Another update is within the rectangle drawing functionality. So this has been completely rewritten. So if we have a piece of software, sorry, we draw a rectangle like so, notice that nothing is happening, so I'm moving it around. And I can move it here, and I can move wherever I want, and if I think that, wow, this would be a nice area to sell at, nothing will happen with the software until, sorry, with the rectangle until I deselect it, and then the software will grab it and start drawing price levels and volume information. Okay, and if I mark it again, the software stops managing it, enables you to position it, move it around. Let's say we want to move it down here because we think this is a nice area to buy at. Nothing will happen until I go like that. When I do that, then the software will grab it, as you can see here, and update the labels and the other information. So pretty interesting update. All of the code here has been deleted and rewritten, and there are a lot of performance enhancements in this build as well. And so this is actually a really important update because it has a lot of bug removing, a lot of performance updates, and we rewrote the rectangle drawing utility, and I also completely rewrote the entire engine of the Pipnotic software. So pretty interesting stuff. And I was having a look, and you can see that again the software is drawing many areas of supply and demand. You'll probably notice that there are going to be much more areas now than previously, but you'll also in time learn how to interpret what it's showing you, because we are seeing a lot of really cool stuff here. Here we had a child down here, it was tested. Here we have this child, it was tested. Okay, so the beginning of the sell zone starts at where this little price nodule was established. And if you have a look at this on the smaller time frame, you'll probably notice that there is a similar thing going on within. So if we go like this, we go to the 1 hour chart and we move over, I don't think it's going back that far. Well, no, it's not finding anything in here. It simply thinks that this area is too cluttered. But notice here, I mean, beautiful area, rally, accumulation, and then a huge rejection. Price tried to come back, we came a little bit deeper, so the beginning of the sell zone is here. Okay, this is where price came to, it poked into this area of supply, and then it departed. And so there's a lot of clarity with the new software that I think that you'll enjoy. So I'll push that out soon. I have Volker, who's currently using it and testing it and giving me a bit of feedback, and I've been using it for the past day. I finished this update yesterday, so I've been using it for a little while now, and when this is done, refined and working good, then I'll push the update out to pools. Okay, but I'm still looking for the best combination of parameters, because this is where we are going to see the best levels being identified. Okay, so I'm just going to turn pools on here and see what pools finds on the 4 hour chart. And pools to trade against a swap. Good. So in this version I have actually updated pools, but there's an issue with the stop loss and some other things, and I just mentioned a bug in the number of positions that are being calculated, so I'm going to have a reiteration of that code and see if I can find out exactly what's going on. But if we look here, I mean, the software is finding this here, and we can also see that area being qualified just here. And so I'm just going to say, that's fine, Mr. Robot, 1.5 times the size of this area. And so the supply and demand software will qualify as looking like this. I want my stop to go a little bit lower, and so I'll leave it like that, so I can just flick this on like so, and pause will open that trade, and our target is up here, roughly around that little price nodule we just discussed, and the entry is down here, so we'll have to see what happens, but just a pretty nice departure here. Okay, good. So that's what we have there with the supply and demand, and very soon pools. There is also an update to the currency strength. I've added a new indicator called metals, which is charting gold. If I go like this and we put it on there, change the time frames, now you can see here this is an index of gold in relation to the euro, Australian dollar, and the American dollar. Unfortunately, there isn't a gold Chinese ringgit, which would be really nice, and there are a couple of other countries that produce a lot of gold, which I wish I had, but I don't, so I have to limit it to the American dollar, the Canadian dollar, and the Australian dollar. This is also a very important combination of currencies in relation to gold. So if you're trading commodity currencies like the Canadian dollar or the Australian dollar, let's just have a quick look at the Aussie. This will be a leading indicator. Okay, so when you have gold prices going higher, then you will have Australian dollar prices going higher, and this can be a leading indicator. Okay, and so this is just a very interesting way to consider how commodities and commodity currencies trade in relation to one another. We also have the American dollar, Canadian dollar, and these should be this should be trading in sync with the Canadian dollar. So when the Canadian dollar is getting strong, when gold is getting strong, then the Canadian dollar is getting strong. And notice here that we had the strength of gold going lower from about, let's go from here to here. Oops, that didn't work very well. We'll try over here like this. Okay, so this kind of showed us something here, and then notice that around here the strength of gold started to pick up. So price went north, and then we had a very sharp sell-off here. Okay, and I'm not saying that this caused this, and it probably didn't, but it's just a very interesting way to view the strength of currencies when you're looking at the commodity that the economy is very dependent on. So if I had, for example, a milk index, that would be really good to use in relation to the New Zealand dollar. Oil would be very good with the Canadian dollar. So we do have some things here. So we have decreasing prices in gold. So we can expect the American dollar, Canadian dollar to move higher. Decreasing, and it moved higher, and then all of a sudden the price of gold went down, and the strength of the Canadian dollar went up. And this is of course here where we're having like a divergence between the strength of the commodity and the strength of the currency, and so it's not always going to work, but in some situations I think that you'll find it working quite well. But I'll add this to the list of, to the zip file with all the downloads when I have the update for the supply and demand software ready. And this is not a piece of software that you can trade by yourself, but you can certainly use it and keep an eye on it, and certainly try and incorporate it into the way you trade. Okay, cool. So let's have a look at a few different things here. We'll go on, we'll zoom out a little bit here, and notice, I really like this one up here. I'm waiting for price to come back up to this level. This is a very nice area on the American dollar, Canadian dollar. And we have this lovely area that's established here, which I think is gorgeous, really strong, really fresh. Price rallied off of this weekly area of demand, and this is where we're looking to try and position ourselves long. Okay, so price moved into this weekly area. We moved through the parent through the child into the parent. This is a new feature that you'll see very clearly in the new software. And first, when we reached the parent, we started to attract bullish order flows, which we are seeing very clear symptoms of here. Just very nice price imbalances to the upside here. So we're expecting price to wriggle down here, back down to the base, and then eventually move north from there. We also have something up here. You can see here we have parent, which was tested, and the child is still untested. We have this one here, which is the edge of the daily, which was tested, and this saw price retreat. But we do have this child, which is fresh. Note that this is a reaction to this one, so be careful trading this. You might want to trade the highs of the entire area, because this is where we have black space since the departure. Okay, but just keep that in mind. We have this area up here, which is nice and fresh. We have one box, no confusion, and above that we have this area of supply that was formed, and prices have left, and we have no prices not retraced to this area since it was formed. So this was formed after 6 periods, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this box was drawn on the chart when this green candle closed, and it's still going strong there. We have this really nice area here as well, which I'm waiting for price to return to. This is a lovely area. Notice how price fed into these price levels up here. We could not sustain such high prices, and then price left very quickly in the opposite direction as expected. Okay, this is a pretty interesting area to watch. And then we have this one up here, which is also a nice area, and this is, let me see, it looks like we got some, yeah, this is kind of the beginning of monthly. This is the beginning of the child here, which was tested. Price went through the child and into the parent, deep into the parent. And now we're kind of forming these lower highs as expected, because we're moving into monthly supply. Then price retreated. So we can expect price to move up into fresh daily and weekly supply, and then move away from there. Okay, we are reacting at this weekly demand, so I'm expecting price to have a bounce. And so you can ask yourself the question, yeah, but what's the trend? You don't have to pay too much attention to the trend when you're focusing on fresh supply and demand, because price will, I mean, just because we're in an uptrend doesn't mean price is never going to go down. Of course it's going to go down. Price will have to go down in order to find buyers by advertising low prices. And these low prices are advertised in the form of demand that are forming below price. Okay, so just keep that in mind. You can certainly trade against the trend. You just have to be a little bit careful when doing so. Okay, and so here we have fresh demand, fresh supply at the top here, which I like. We have this, and we also have this one down here, which I like as well. So we do have these areas forming. Oops, that one did a Houdini on us. Come on, just here. Okay, so we do have a couple of areas to watch: buying, selling. We also had something on the American dollar, gold, which we looked at. This is on. Let me remove pools and put this software on. Zoom in a little. Yeah, so we have this area of supply, which is fresh and delicious. Price rallied. We could not sustain such high prices, and then we left. So we have a couple of areas to watch. We have this one, price is closest to this one. And we have this one here. Then we have this one above price right there. Cool, so that's what we have there. What's going on now? See, this is why I don't push the software out immediately, because there are bugs to be taken care of. So we have this one here, which looks pretty interesting, and we have this one here below price. Okay, so there's nothing to do in here. There's nothing to do down here. Why not here? Because this was a nice area, but it's been tested once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. This is a 5th test. Okay, so there's nothing to do here. So just wait for this. This is fresh. How do you know it's fresh? We have the area. We have black space. We have a green candle first of all, and then we have black space since it was established. The same here. Green candle at left, black space since price left. So we have 2 really nice areas to watch here. Okay, let's have a look at the American dollar, Japanese yen. What do we have here? So if we have a look on this time frame, you can see that price is reacting to the edge of this. We have a child demand. Price went into it. We came to the top of this parent demand, which is actually a child because it's reacting to something in here, and we left. Another test, now we're moving higher. Okay, Okay, so notice, where do we have these patterns occurring? Where do we have single boxes? We have this single box here, which is really nice. It's been tested once, twice, so we'll probably move up into here and maybe have a bit of a retreat. That's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting price to come down here to this area and have a bounce. So we have this below price, not the most beautiful one. You can see this because when price had kind of a slow wriggle north. So this is telling us that we need to go to the 4-hour and have a closer look. And if you go on the 4-hour chart, when you look at this, you ask yourself the question, is this clear or is it unclear? Well, first of all, notice all these dotted boxes at these price levels. You can see dotted boxes here. So you can see the price, the only undotted boxes, the solid boxes, are down here. So I'd be a little bit careful about doing anything here. And if I was going to do anything here, I'd be looking at the lows of this, because when you see price doing things like this, like moving down and down and high, down, high, down, high, this is price reacting at liquidity. So this is a child, this is a parent, this is not demand, this is a reaction to the demand, which is down here. Okay, so if you go to the daily once again, we have a look down here. Where do we have some fresh demand? Right there, we've got fresh demand here. Price moved sideways throughout these levels historically, nothing happened, and all of a sudden price reached this level and then it left. So this is fresh demand. I like this very much. And based on what we saw just a minute ago, there's nothing to do here. Doesn't mean that price isn't going to react there. It just means that the higher probability areas are going to be lower or higher. We have higher just here. If we zoom out a little and we go like that, and you can see that we have those here. So we have really nice price behavior here. How price rallied, moved sideways, and then left. Okay, this is a pretty interesting area just here. Also notice that when price left here, we moved, we had demand, tested. This is the one that caused that break. Okay, so this brings our attention up here. So we'll go like that from the lows, 2 times the size about here. And this is where we could look to engage the dollar, Japanese yen. I'm just going to put that on there. Make sure we got 2 times. Good. So we're 4 micros. $109.58, 110.25, and we'll put our entry. We'll figure that out later on. I'll leave that in there like that. So we're currently here 1 to 1, 1 to 2, 1 to 3. We'll see what happens. Negative swaps as well, so we don't want to get too silly, but that's what we have. And higher up, this is quite far away from price. I'll just delete that. And this is what we have just here. Okay. Of course, let's have a look at. This is the one. I'll leave it on there. I like that. Let's put this on here and freshen up the view. What do we have here? Well, we have this little one here. Matter of fact, that's a little bit strange. So we have price moving up like this, and we had the big cutaway here. So this is an interesting cutaway because, price tried to move. This is clear on this time frame. So price tried to move through this here. We couldn't, and we accumulated just below, and then we shot north. So it's actually pretty clear on this time frame. And so what I will do here is I will just enable pools, and I will let pools take care of this one. I'm going to put this on 1.1 the size, and I just turn that on. I'll let the robot put that on for me. Done. Okay, that's what we have there. Turn that off. See in here, this is where we can see it clearer, just here, okay? A little bit below the low, just so we have a bit of protection. I like this as well, so maybe a little bit low, but we'll leave that for the time being, okay? Okay, let's have a look at the dollar Swiss franc. What's going on here? Well, notice that we reacted on this weekly supply. Very nice move lower. And now price is kind of, there's not a lot of clarity there, you can see. So we have to go down to the smaller time frame and see what's cooking. We can see we're already reacted at this. And looking at the wicks here, I can see there's supply in here, which was tested and price left. So that's why we have that down there. We have this one here, price has been back and then we left, so you could re-engage at that area, just taking the lows. So something like that. Okay, the 9800, that might be quite interesting. If you look up here, we need to find those areas that were responsible for doing something. So we have this. Price went through it, we tested again, and then we left. So there's something up here. See, these are all linked together. So we have that. Like that. The 10153, really far away from price, but for the time being you see price is kind of forming these lower highs and these high lows, and so we're waiting for a squeeze. And looking here, you can see, okay, we have some really nice 4-hour demand here. I like that a lot, so I'd be keen on looking at that. 2 times the size of that would bring us there. Just going to remove this one. This is a nice area, and price has not quite been back there, so we can put that one on. $9,837, 97. Let's put 98. Oops. Cool, we'll leave it on there. And we'll do one more. We'll do the Kiwi. What's going on here? Price is reacting at these lows here. Price is racing south. So we're kind of, you see, we're forming these high lows. And so we're looking for a place at which to buy. I have this area marked off, and this is marked off because if you look here, we had this here, we had this one here. I like this very much. This is very beautiful. Price poked through it, and then we left. We went through, but we're still coming down. Okay, so the origin of the whole move, I think, is going to be responsible for moving above these highs here. Is down here. This is the very beautiful pattern where we have something that's difficult to draw, like so. So same area, but I'm just going to put this on slightly differently. I'm going to put it like that. So 2 times the size of the area. Also notice we have higher lows, which is important. So we're buying at 0.6297, 6297. Stop loss 6254, 0.6254. Cool. Cool, so we'll leave it on there for the time being. We'll see what happens. But I'm going to leave it at that. If you have any questions, send them in. Otherwise, thanks for watching. See you in the next video.